I'm kicking today's video off with a bit of good old-fashioned kit building, and this is a kit that you've probably not come across unless you're also into military vehicle modelling, and it's from a company called Italeri, which they're actually really big in the model kit world, making a lot of primarily military vehicles, but these battlefield buildings are one of the sets that they do, which are for military modelers primarily, for making a scene within which to show off buildings and figures. But they're in 1:72 scale, and my eye was drawn to a couple of these. The watchtower, I think, will be a perfect representation of some of the watchtowers that you see on the Sugarcane railways. But then also this guard hut with the barrier on the road reminded me a lot of some of the installations that they have on the Sugarcane railways for stopping traffic at the level crossings. In addition to those, this little hut here will just be perfect for the village area, and I can discard some of the other bits and pieces if I don't need them. Some of the clutter, actually, these painted up properly to look in civvy colours, I think will look quite good. But I've never actually delved into this kit, so I'm going to see just how well it all puts together. I'm just a little bit curious what we've got and how good the instructions are, because Italeri is not a company that I've built any of the kits from before.
Hey guys, Zoe here in the editing suite. While Jen may not have used Italeri kits before, I certainly have built the Cessna 172P, I believe it was, from Italeri about 4 or 5 years ago now, and it was perfectly fine. They're very good kits, very technical, but the straightforward instructions. So yeah, highly recommend.
So we've got bases here for a lot of the stuff. I'm not convinced that I'll use the bases, but the actual hut here looks like it'll be something pretty nice to use. The barrier as well, that is definitely something that I'll be using. But it's the watchtower that I'm going to really pay close attention to. In fact, for this video, the part of PG Sembro that I'm wanting to make is just where the watchtower will go. Today's video comes in association with Train-O-Matic, makers of DCT decoders and accessories that are designed by enthusiasts for enthusiasts. Visit train-o-matic.com and see what they've got suitable for you. And let's start concentrating on these. The actual sprues do look pretty nice and crisp. Well placed out. It's quite easy to see what's what. There's a tiny amount of flashing on some of these. I don't actually know how old the tooling is, but you know, flash can happen. It's not the end of the world. We can trim that off, and I've had that on kits from pretty much every other brand as well. I will be painting some of the bits as the construction progresses. I'm not a fan of building the kit then painting it, because a lot of the time you then can't get access into things like the interior and you get a not quite as good finish as you could do. So rather I will part assemble and then do some painting. The only issue when you do that you have to watch out for is that the glue, the polystyrene cement, doesn't really adhere to where the paint is very well. You just end up with the paint kind of lifting and bubbling. You don't get a good bond. So we just need to avoid painting mating surfaces, and if we do get any paint on those mating surfaces, then you just have to carefully scrape that back beforehand. I've got my Humbrol liquid poly. The glue's got a little bit of a weird colour. I think it's got a little bit of plastic and such like transferred in. And I think I'm going to start at the bottom. We've got the floor, 2 side pieces. We'll need the ladder. I'm going to put all of those to one side for now. I was getting a bit over exuberant getting them cut out. This is what I like about railway modelling. So many different disciplines to be able to put together and make what we're wanting. I like to coat both sides lightly with the liquid poly. The reason for this is I just feel that you get the reaction, softening of the plastic for the actual plastic welding to happen a lot quicker. Let's build up all one side first. So 3. These are here. I rest a finger on the part as I cut them. That stops them from being catapulted for the floor gods to take their cut of proceedings. I'll be honest with you, it's quite a nice build. The instructions, fairly clear. Pieces, well defined, separating from the sprue quite readily. Make sure that this is the correct way around. Now this is the bit which can get just a little bit fiddly. You kind of feel like you need 6 hands. Let me just get my tweezers. Another tool that's quite handy for just manipulating stuff. And let's just carefully bring this up, line in and in. And I'm just going to run a little bit more liquid poly just to ensure all is well. I do like this. There's really only one way round. We can, because we've got an offset on the little bits and pieces. Nice and positive actually. Oh, until I bounced it back out. That's quite a nice little structure actually, it must be said. Painted up, I think this is going to look lovely. Now I've been and had a look on Google Street View actually, of all places, really useful way of figuring out things that you just physically cannot get to. And I looked at one at PG Jataroto and one at PG Kedawang. The Jataroto one was just kind of rust, but the Kedawang one was kind of a blue and a white. And I'm looking here at Humbrol 89, although I've also got here number 115 to consider, and then matte white number 34, and any woodwork I've got 119. I've got another tin of 34. You can never have too many of these if you can get the older formula. So I'm going to get on and start painting this up. I'm going to go after that one at PG Kedawang. I think that's just quite an eye-catching livery. It will get weathered and rusted a little bit afterwards, but the blue and the white, it's just a question which blue. I'm thinking 115 might be the one. So let's get on and do some painting. Going back down to the model, I've got to think about where I want to put this. My plan is somewhere in this area at PG Kedawang. I'm probably really massively mispronouncing that. They actually have quite an interesting one, not far from the factory, at a point where the Sugarcane Railway splits into 3 different branches. Well, I've only got 2 branches here, but I think that this might be a good location. It would also mean that you could have a Sugarcane Railway operative close by for dealing with the points if the loco crews weren't going to be doing that. And I honestly think that this is probably a reasonable location. I've got my Baldwin here, just to check clearances. Yeah, I'm going to say it's probably quite a lot of clearance there. And likewise on the other route as well. Does that look okay? The ground, there's like a little bit of a platter there. Yeah, I think that actually maybe that would be a reasonable location. I've got some other bits and pieces that I want to start thinking about adding in. Now, I did buy from the Woodland Scenics range some really quite large trees. They're the biggest. I've got some palm trees as well. Some of the smaller trees. I've gone for all the same. And what's interesting, and this is top tech tip for you, Scenorama is a cheaper brand made by the same people, and effectively that is the same product. as what are nearly twice the price from the Woodland Scenics range. So just saying there. And I'm going to have a little think about where and what I'm going to do with these. I'm thinking some trees down here. So that means I'm going to just put some ground cover down for going underneath trees. Now, I don't know whether I would add in some palm trees. There's a little part of me just a little bit dubious about mixing palm trees and these trees. And I'm not 100% sure. I'm thinking that the palm trees I might put elsewhere. Looking at the pictures of Java, the trees that they have, there's a lot of things like gum trees, banana trees, palm trees, you do see them there. And I think that they've got other hardwoods like teak and mahogany, but I'm not 100% sure on that. But you try finding them in model form. So these don't actually give any kind of a species. It just says water's edge. This with some smaller ones maybe. Again, I'm not 100% sure. This is where it can be quite difficult. Sometimes less is more. Do I want to put the tree root system in that will then plug into? Possibly, yes. Let's just dive right in. I'm going to make a hole. Got a hole that the base of the tree is going to fit into. I think I need to make that just a little bit bigger. That looks to be about right. So that tree is going to go in there. And I'm going to pair it with a couple of these trees as well. So what I want to do is start to just pare back some of the static grass that's down here. And I do want to put down some forest scatter. Underneath trees you tend to get stuff. So we got forest ground cover from Warworld's Scenics. I'm going to just try and get an element of some of the smaller stuff. I'm going to just get some of this in and around. I've also got some of this, which is like a very, very fine version of the same. And this for me is very important. Underneath trees, you're going to need some degree of ground cover. Then I'm going to use some ballast bond. I think I'm going to end up using a lot of ballast bond on this build. It's no bad thing. So I'm going to get some of my trusty green scatters, just feathering in the edges. Add a little bit of the green. I tend to find these are the holy trinity of colours. Less is more. Just remember that some of the glue is quite white and garish. Maybe just a little bit whilst that's still wet in places. A little bit around there. Now I want to glue the tree in. So I've got the PVA that I've been using a lot. You've seen me use this a lot. And the hole for the trunk is down here. Generous amount of PVA. A little bit more PVA around the base. And that really fine ground forest scatter. Sprinkle some of that in. Get some around the other side. Perfectly in there. Again, I'm going to open up a pack of these and see what I can do with one of these trees. Maybe a tree there. Would these work at the edge? I think tree either side. So again, once more, I'm going to decide where I want to put the tree. I'm going to have this in quite close. The two trees are in. I've got them all bedded in. Unfortunately, camera ran out of memory space again. This seems to be a theme that's going on. Quite pleased with how underneath has done. I'm going to go ahead, get the lookout post glued in, get some of the bushes just put in around here, maybe another tree down this side. I quite like the idea of the tracks going between trees. It just creates a really interesting viewing angle. With the trees in, same method that I used elsewhere, I've put some of the twigs from the Woodland Scenics range. These are perfect for essentially representing fallen timber from underneath the trees. And with just 4 trees in, plus the watchtower, it really is something I'm really quite proud of this corner. Now the final thing that I want to actually do is to put a waiting train in this little spur. And for this, I've got some bits and pieces. That is some of the leftover parts from the kit that the watchtower came from, on top of a wagon, which again, I don't know where its origin is. It came secondhand in a load of stuff, no maker's marks on it, but it's been painted up to represent some of the wagons on the PG Semboro system. And then this is one of the 4D's Dolgoch kits. It's not got a motorised chassis. I've added a balloon stack to it, removed the buffers, and this is going to be glued in as the locomotive in charge of this short train. And I think that will complete the scene in this corner. Today's video comes in association with Train-O-Matic, makers of DCC decoders and accessories that are designed by enthusiasts for enthusiasts. Visit train-o-matic.com and see what they've got suitable for you. I'd like to thank everybody over on Patreon, and an extra special huge thanks goes out to our Patreon heroes. Without you guys over on Patreon, we really wouldn't be able to keep making the video content that you see on this channel. And don't forget that you can also head on over to patreon.com/Jennifer Kirk and check out the different tiers of rewards. Thank you so much. You are absolute legends.